Guys, please confirm to me. All of you get my voice on screen. Those are attending in online. Guys, please confirm to me. All of you get my voice on screen. Those are attending in online. Guys, please confirm to me. All of you get my voice on screen. Those who are attending in online. Martin Muhammad, don't want to continue the content, continue the classes now. You want to stop these classes? Martin Muhammad. Yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. Yeah, Martin, then definitely I will provide that videos access to you. Already in our might be 6 o'clock link, no. Already that videos are available there. Just try to check once, no. Martin Muhammad. You can check that videos already available there. Otherwise, I will send the videos to you. Don't worry. Right, sir. Shall we start now? Right, sir. And what we completed there in the last session, what topics we understand there in the last class, no? So we are discussing about the types of applications, right? We are discussing about the types of applications. By using Java, we are able to prepare two types of applications. Tell me, what are the two types of applications here we discussed there? First one is standalone applications and second one is what there? Enterprise applications. What is standalone application actually? If we design and execute any application without using client server architecture or without distributing application logic over multiple machines, then that application is called a standalone application. Right, sir. How many types of standalone applications are available? Two types of standalone applications are available. What are the two types of standalone applications? No, CUI application and second one is what there? GUI application. Here we have a question. What is the difference between CUI application and a GUI application? CUI application is a standalone application. It's able to take input data from the users through the command prompt. It's able to provide output data to the users through the same command prompt. Where command prompt is acting as an user interface and it is supporting characters data only. To prepare CUI applications, we will use J2SE libraries like java.io, java.util, and so on. That's the points here we have to understand. Then what about the next one? No, GUI application is a standalone application. It's able to take input data from the users through the collection of graphic components, and it is able to provide output data to the users through the same collection of graphic components. Here, the collection of graphics components is called an user interface and it's supporting only what data there? Graphics data. To prepare GUI application, Java has provided some libraries like what there? Java.awt, Java.applet, Java x.swing, and so on. Then after that, we started with what there? Enterprise applications. What is an enterprise application actually? All of you observe carefully. If we design and execute any application on the basis of client server architecture or by distributing application logic over multiple machines, then that application is called an enterprise application. There are two types of enterprise applications. What are the two types of enterprise applications here? First one is web applications and second one is what there? Distributed application. What are the differences between web applications and distributed applications? Right now, this is a question here we have to discuss clearly. Clear? Right, sir. I think so. I given some diagrammatic representation in the last classes. Right, sir. Any representation? I think one diagram I given the right. Yes. Not saved. Out system. Not saved. I think so. Okay. No problem. The similar diagram I have already. No need to worry for it. I can give the diagram directly. Don't worry for it. Where it is no, not available here also. Yeah, it's okay. Don't worry. I have already that application there. Not here. Just give a minute of time. This is our present content here. Storage areas are okay. Types of applications. No. Okay. One minute. Just give a minute of time. Right, sir. Anyway, even though if diagram is not available, don't worry for it. Then as this diagram I'm able to provide, but I will prepare the diagram for what there, like for web applications and distributed applications, I will give that information to you. But anyway, let me try for it. If it is available, then it's okay. If it is not available, then definitely I'll prepare this. No, it's not like this. Still, it is in JDBC only. But where is the servlets? Okay, don't worry. Then I'll give the diagram here later on. Not to worry for it. Fine, leave it. Now understand the points here. GUI application and CUI application that we understood clearly. I think so. That class I've taken here only, right? Online. In my system it was saved. Okay, I'll give it. In my system, I remembered it. I have saved it actually. Okay, I'll give it. Don't worry. Now come to the point here. What are the differences between web applications and what next one? Distributed applications. This is a question now. Okay, all of you understand it clearly. First one, very first point here. What I am telling to you. Hmm? Hmm. Hmm. Right, sir. Then very first point here. What I am telling to you. Web applications. Web application is a server-side application. Web application is a server-side application. Or else, instead of saying that web application is a client server application. Web application is what there? Client server application, where the complete application logic is distributed at a server machine only. I'll give the point. Don't worry for it. No, web application is a client server application where the complete application logic is distributed at a server machine only, server side only. No application logic is available at client machine. Understand the point? What I'm telling to you. All right. Another point here. I'm telling to you, distributed application is a client server application where the complete application logic is distributed over multiple machines. Where the complete application logic is distributed over multiple machines. That means client machine and a server machine. Okay, let me come to the second point also. There I'm able to give the total diagrammatic representation. All of you understand it clearly. Some examples also I'm able to provide. Try to understand it clearly. In the case of web applications, in the case of what applications here? Web applications, client is fixed. In the case of web applications, client is fixed. That is browser. This is what there. Now tell me browser. Client is fixed. That is browser. In the case of what there, in the case of web applications, the client is fixed. That is what their browser. But in distributed applications, client is not fixed. Client is not fixed. It may be, listen carefully, it may be a Java program with the main method. It may be a Java program with the main method. It may be an applet. It may be an applet, or maybe it may be a GUI application. It may be a GUI application, but or not. It may be a web application with servlets or JSPs. Understand my point here? Or it may be a framework application like struts, JSF, or Spring application, and so on and so on and so on. And so on and so on and so on. That's it. Yes, sir. All of you are getting it or not? All right. Now I want to elaborate some points to you. Now try to understand it clearly. I'll prepare a diagrammatic representation. Now try to understand this diagrammatic representation. Observe carefully. First of all, let us talk about the web application part. Okay. For example, all of you observe carefully this example. This is my server-side application. This is my client, for example. In between these two, some network is available. It's okay. This is client and this is a server. At server, we have an application. At server side, we have an application. Okay. I want to say, I don't want to use this kind of diagrammatic representation. We can understand this is like what their server side application. Inside this server side application, program is available. Web application. This is like what their web component. Web component in the sense maybe servlet or maybe JSP, whatever it may be, some component is available. Now understand it clearly. To execute these server side applications, the fundamental point I'm telling there, to execute our server side applications, we need a software at a server machine. That software is called server. The software is called as what there? Server. Server is a software that is able to get request from client. It is able to execute the application. It is able to generate some response back to the respective client. Sir, got it or not? Okay, fine. Now here, what is the point I'm telling to you? Client will send request to the server first. Now what this server is able to do, what is this client? That point also I have to specify now. Client is nothing but what there, it's a browser, that's it. It's not any other one, just it is a browser. Here, inside this browser here we are having, okay, something else, some address bar is also existed. In that address bar, we are able to provide something else, some request URL here we are able to provide. http:// something else like some URL here we provide. As per this URL only, request will come to the server for a particular resource. Now, okay, now immediately what happened there? The server side resource will be identified. Server side resource will be executed. By the execution of the server side resource, some response will be generated. That response, server will take that response Server will send that response back to the respective client. Now client is able to display some response clearly. Then user can see that response now. So got it or not? So this is exactly the meaning of like what there web application. Simple web application I'm telling to you. Right, sir. It is like what there simple web application. Clear. Now all of you observe carefully. In the case of this web application, web component is like what there Java program. Web component is what there Java program. So at a server side, this is server machine if you think at a server side, the Java program here we have written or not? Java program we have written or not? But what we have written at a client side no? What we have provided client side? What is there at client side no? Have we provided any Java program at client side? No. But if you want to send requests or if you want to get responses no, one tool is required. The tool is what there? Browser. The tool is what there? Browser. So here client is what? Browser only. Client is what? Browser only. But program is written at server side no, that is what there? Web application. The program is written at server side no, that is what there? Web application. Now at client side here we are having a browser. Browser is available at a client machine. Yes, sir. All of you are getting my point or not? So this is exactly the meaning here we can understand. Now of course now this is like what there? A response. That's it. Now client is browser. It is a fixed one. Entire application logic is distributed at which machine? No, server machine. This is called as like what there? Web application. That's it. Not more than that. Of course, this Java program may be servlet program. It may be JSP program. It may be anything. That doesn't matter. So, but program is available at server side only. No program is available at client side. Client is what there? Browser. So this type of application is called as like what there? Web application, that we can understand clearly now. Okay, sir. Good. I understood web applications are okay. Basic structure. Later on, I will give examples. You don't worry for it. What are the various web applications? That example I'm able to provide you, but understand it clearly now. I want to provide this diagram, sir, for the sake of your reference. No, I'll provide this diagram there. Web application diagram. Similarly, what is distributed application? What is the meaning of distributed application? Even that one also I want to prepare. Right now, see this one. Again, now I want to take client server architecture. This is my client mission. Now this is my server side application. This is my what there server side application. All right, so now get this. I want to say like what there. It's a client. Now this is like what there server maybe application. Server side application is like what there a distributed application, for example. Distributed application. Now inside this, what is available here? No, a service is available. A service is available. What is that service? Actually, remote service is available. Remote service. That means server side program only. That remote service is provided in the form of like what there? Server side program only. Here is also a Java code. That remote service is provided in the form of like what code there? Java code only. We can understand it clearly. Okay. Now this is client application. Now here inside this client application, we can understand we can understand it may be core Java program, it may be GUI application, or it may be a framework application, or it may be struts application or JSF or whatever it may be. Anything we can take. I'm not saying that exactly this one, but anything we can take now. Now here I want to write it clearly. Now it may be J2SE application, that means core Java application with main method. Next one is what there? GUI application. Okay. Then apart from this, like any framework application, or maybe it may be like what there? Spring application, framework application. Spring application is also one of the what there? Framework application. Like this here, we are able to provide our content. Yes, sir. Got it or not? Now here, what is the point here I'm telling you apart from this? Client and distribute application. Now definitely application server is available. Here also we required what there server. server will come there. Now here, whenever our client applications are sending requests, now tell me, J2SE application is a Java application or not? Geo application is also a Java application or not? Framework applications are also Java applications or not? Understand my point clearly? No. Now here, I want to take like what in place of this one, web application also be, maybe it also be, we can say that it is what there, web application. Web application is also like what there, something else. Now, anyway, whatever it may be, a request may come from client to server. Now, this is like what there, server, application server in general. Now, request here we submit it. When we submitted request now, automatically that request here, server will take that request, server will identify the required remote service now for which service that request is coming there. Now that remote service is going to be executed here now. Remote service is able to provide some type of response to the respective client application, local application. Okay, now this is like what their client application. This is exactly like what their local application here. Again, I'm telling to you now here also, this is also like what there a Java program. This is also like what there a Java program. All are Java applications only here, not any other one. Framework application is also like what there a Java application. Web application is also like what there Java application. All right, sir, that's it. Now these are about like what there Java components, Java applications here we prepared. Sir, all of you are getting it or not? Okay, fine. Now understand it clearly. Now this is exactly the meaning of like what there a remote application what we are having clearly. That's it. In remote applications, at both the client side and server side, at both the sides, Java applications only. But in web applications, the Java program is available at only what machine? No, server machine only. So that's why I given the first point. No, web application is a client server application where the complete application logic is distributed at server machine only. Distributed application is a client server application where the complete application logic is distributed over multiple machines only. That's clear. Next one is after this. In the case of web applications, client is fixed, that is browser. But in distributed applications, client is not fixed. It may be a Java program with main method. It may be a Geo application. It may be a web application with servlets or JSPs, or it may be a framework application like starts with JSF or a Spring application, whatever it may be. The same diagram here I shown to you, clearly we can understand. Got it or not? Let me complete few more points here. At the end, I'm able to give one very good example where we are going to use web and where we are going to use distributed. There we are able to understand it clearly. Okay, leave this one. That's okay, fine. Next one is what? After completion of this point here, how we are going to prepare web applications. To prepare web applications, observe carefully. To prepare web applications, we will use a set of technologies. We will use a set of technologies like what are the technologies now to prepare web applications here? Say for example, a set of technologies called web technologies. Like what are the various web technologies now? Servlets, JSPs, and so on and so on and so on. Servlets and JSPs are like what they're web technologies. To prepare web applications, we are able to use what they're servlets and JSPs. These are like what they're web technologies. Got my point or not? Okay, sir. Similarly, to prepare distributed applications, we will use a set of technologies called distributed technologies. Distributed technologies. What are the various examples for distributed technologies now? Observe carefully. Even in core Java, socket programming, networking is available. In the future, I'm able to discuss about it now. Is come under like what there? Distributed technologies. RMI, remote method invocation, part of the distributed technologies. Next one is the EJBs, enterprise Java beans, and before that, one more thing CORBA, common object request broker architecture or agent. Common object request broker architecture or agent. Both are same now. All right, sir. Next one is after the CJBs, enterprise Java beans. Next one is another thing is what their web services. Web services is an example for what their distributed technologies, not a web technology. The name web services including the word web, don't think it's a web technology, but it should be what there a distributed technologies. So all of you are getting it or not? Okay, fine. Next one is after this. Now try to understand it clearly. Point number 4. What about this fourth point here? I'm telling to you. All right. Everybody understand it clearly. The main intention of the web applications is to generate dynamic response from the server. The main purpose of the web applications is to generate dynamic response from the server machine. There some points are available. I will add that later on. But first of all, understand it clearly. The main purpose of the distributed applications is to generate or is to the main purpose of the distributed application is to establish communication between local machine and the remote machine. Here local machine is nothing but client. Local machine and a remote machine. Here local machine is nothing but what their client. Local machine and a remote machine in order to access remote service. In order to access remote service from the local machine. Remote services are available where at server machine. How to access that remote service from the local machine? How to establish communication between local machine and remote machine? How to connect with remote machine? How to access that service now? That's the main focus on like what their distributed applications. If we take an example, then we can understand it clearly. Don't worry for it. So web application main point is what there? How to generate dynamic response. But distributed application main responsibility is what there? How to communicate with remote machine, how to consume that remote services from remote machine. That's it. Right or not? Right, so now they are the 2 points here we can understand. Okay, fine. Right, now come for this point here. All of you know next point here. Listen carefully. Web application is the combination of the web components. Like web application is the combination of the web components like servlets, JSPs and so on. Am I right or not? Web application is a combination of the web components like what they servlets, JSPs and so on. Okay, observe carefully. In outside, 2 types of servers are available. There are 2 types of servers. What are the 2 types of servers now? Web servers and application servers. Get my point or not? There are 2 types of servers in outside there. First one is web servers, but other one is what they application server. What is web server? What is an application server? If you observe this, web servers are able to execute only web applications. Web servers are able to execute only which applications? No, web applications. But application servers are able to execute both web applications and as well as what their distributed applications. As of now, if you want to understand the examples, no. Tomcat, okay, think of it. Tomcat is almost all just above the web server, below of the application server. But WebLogic, JBoss, Wildfly, or maybe Glassfish, all these are like what their application servers. Understand my point? Okay, now come for our point here. Web applications are executed by both web servers and as well as what their application servers. Yes, sir, got my point or not? So now I want to provide directly that point here. The combination I will provide is web applications are executed by both the web servers and application servers. Web applications are executed by both web servers and application servers. Right, sir. Next one is what there distributed applications are executed by only application servers. Distributed applications are executed by only what their application servers. Why, sir? Why this difference is available here? No. What is the need of this particular point here? No. Right. I'll give some clarity and I'll try to understand it clearly. Web applications are normal plain server-side applications. They don't require any middleware services like security, maybe JNDI support, maybe some transaction support. All these things are not required for web applications. So just a server-side environment is sufficient. Executing server-side components in a plain manner, in a normal way, that's sufficient. Middleware services are not required. Sir, got my point or not? So that's why web servers are sufficient to execute web applications. In general, web servers are not providing these middleware services. But when we go for distributed applications required all the middleware services. All middleware services are required for distributed applications, like what the transaction support, security support, and connection pooling support, and JNDA support, JTA. So many middleware services are required for the distributed applications. But who will provide these middleware services? No, application server will provide these middleware services by default. So because of that reason, distributed applications are executed by the application servers only, but web applications are executed by both the web servers and as well as what their application servers. There's a point here we have to understand. So all of you are getting it or not? Okay, don't worry. Then I will take one example, standard example. Through that, I'm able to explain the content. By that, we are able to understand clearly. Next one, after this, all of you understand it clearly. Apart from this, listen carefully. Java programs are executed by whom? Who is executing Java programs? No, come on, JVM. Inside the JVM, who is executing Java programs? Inside the JVM, who is executing Java programs? An interpreter. An interpreter is executing our Java programs. Am I right or not? Inside the Java, that means inside the JVM, an interpreter is available. That interpreter is executing our Java programs. Is that clear? All of you are getting clarity now? All right, sir. It's okay, fine. Now, I'm asking one question to you, try to understand it clearly. Not a question, information only. Similarly, server-side applications are executed by whom? Server only. In which way JVM is executing Java programs, in the same way, server-side programs are executed by server only. But my next question is, inside the server, who is executing the server-side program? Inside the server, there is a component to execute our server-side program. That component is called container. That component is called as what there? Container. So, all of you are getting it or not? Good. There are two types of containers we have. Two types of containers. One is web containers and second one is EJB containers. That is distributed containers. Web container and distributed containers. Web containers are responsible to execute web components, but EJB containers are responsible for executing distributed components. I get my point or not? So web components are executed by the web container only. Distributed components are executed by the EJB container only. That means distributed containers only. Now the difference here, what is the difference here? I'm telling to you, observe carefully. Web application is the combination of web components like servlets, JSPs, and so on, which are executed by the web containers, like servlet containers, JSP container, and so on and so on and so on. Web application is a combination of web components like servlets, JSPs, and so on, which are executed by the web containers like servlet container, JSP container, and so on. Got it or not? Next one, distributed application is the combination of the distributed components like EJB components and so on, EJB components and so on, which are executed by the EJB container, which are executed by what? Their EJB container. Understand it clearly what I'm telling you. So container is able to execute our server side components. Where is that container actually? Container is a part of the server, is a counterpart inside the server. So the server is executing our server side program, in the sense internally container is executing our server side programs. Internally container is executing what? Their server side program. Is that all of you are getting it or not? Okay, fine now. All right, sir. This is the point here we have to understand clearly. After this, after completion of this particular point here, right, sir. Now the other various points here we understood about this web application, and what next one here? Distributed applications. Clear or not? Okay. Now I'm telling one point here. After understanding these diagrammatic representations, no, but one small note here I want to provide there. Note point here I want to provide. What is that note type of point here I'm telling there? Observe carefully. To prepare an enterprise application, we have to use web development and distributed application. We have to prepare web development along with the distributed applications development, or a distributed application. We have to provide web development, or we have to provide web development with the along with the distributed application. Then only we are able to get what? There an enterprise application. Enterprise application is equal to web application plus distributed application. Is that all of you are getting it or not? Then only it is an enterprise application. All right, sir. Now I want to take a simple diagram. Try to understand this diagram, all of you know. Observe carefully. Simple, very simple diagram. Now try to understand it now. First of all, I want to explain the task, the content. The content in the sense like what there, I want to explain the points. Try to recognize this clearly. For example, Durgasoft is an example. Durgasoft is providing some courses, number of courses. Durgasoft is providing what there, number of courses. Students are joining with the courses. Okay, fine. Students wants to register the courses. Our students wants to go for what their courses registration. Clear or not? But how students are going to provide course registrations actually? How it is possible for the students to provide this course registrations? No. Right. That I want to provide the content. Let's see this one. Say for example, for the sake of the course registration, Durgasoft website is available. Now inside this Durgasoft website, there is a registration form. Course registration form is available. Registration form dot some HTML or whatever it may be, that doesn't matter. Registration form. Now here, what we are able to provide there, student name. Next one is student qualification. Next one, student email ID, student mobile number, student course. Understand clearly? When student course is available, then course fee, like this. Here we are able to have some details. All right, then after this here we are going to write like what there, submit button. And before the submit button, course fee is okay. 1 minute. Right, sir. All these many things are coming there. When a student wants to go for the registration for the course now, then course fee will come there. Apart from this course no, course fee no, credit card number. Credit card number. Why? Because how we are going to pay the payment. Of course, nowadays maybe UPI payments are also be added there. For example, I want to go for what there credit card numbers. Yes, sir. All of you are getting it or not? Okay, credit card numbers. Here we want to go there. Or else maybe in place of this credit card number, just I want to take like what there UPI payment. It's a digital payments, right? UPI payments. I want to go there. If you want to go for UPI payments now, then what we require here UPI ID. That is required in general. In general, that UPI ID is what there. Then your mobile number at the rate might be some different ID, ICICI something else like this. Okay, fine. Whatever UPI ID that we have to prepare. No, all right, sir. Then after this, Google Pay or maybe Phone Pay or something else. No, then finally here we provided like what there submit button is existed. Okay, good. Now say this one. Now these are the details here we are going to have. Everybody put more concentration. Here, what is web application and what is distributed application? I'm going to give much clarity, but try to understand it clearly now. Here we are having what there submit button. Now here, what I'm telling to you, here we are having Durgasoft website. Yes, sir. Now tell me, this is like what there Durgasoft website, durgasoft.com. Okay, durgasoft.com website is available. Clear. Okay, fine. For example, put more concentration, all of you know. For example, student name is something else like what their AAA, qualification is say for example BTech, and student email ID value is something else AAA at the rate dss.com something else here we provided. Some mobile number, of course here we have taken some mobile number here. Next one is student course, for example Java. Next one is course fee, something else like what there 50,000. And UPI ID, he provided some UPI ID AAA at the rate maybe ICICI something else .com or ICICI.com or something else. Here we are able to get it. So finally here what we are clicking there. Now just we clicked on like what there submit button. Sir, got it or not? Just we clicked on like what there submit button. Okay, fine. Now understand it clearly. When we click on the submit button, automatically request will come to what there durgasoft.com. Request will come to what there durgasoft.com. Everybody observe carefully. Now what durgasoft.com has to do? Durgasoft.com has to take the total data. Then it has to perform transaction on the basis of UPI ID or not? Come on, it has to perform transaction on what their UPI ID or not? But Durgasoft is not having any UPI services. Durgasoft is only institute. Durgasoft is able to take the request, able to provide some courses details. But Durgasoft is not having any banking services. Durgasoft doesn't have any bank services. Durgasoft is only institute. But it should require. Now it required UPI transaction. It required what there UPI transaction. Then how it is able to do no? When it is required UPI transaction, then directly it will send a request to UPI application. What is that UPI application there? Say for example, I want to say this is like what there phone pay. I don't know. This is like what there phone pay application. For your understanding purpose, I'm writing there phonepe.com. Example. Phonepe.com or PhonePe app, whatever it may be. Got it or not? Okay, fine. That's nice. This is what I'm telling there. Request. Student has submitted request to Durgasoft.com, but Durgasoft.com is not having any banking services. It must be depending on what there some UPI service provider. Who is the service provider? PhonePe. Now this is like what there. Now again a request submitted here. But what PhonePe.com people are going to do now? Are they able to do any transaction directly? Are they having any banking services? No. They must be depending on some other application or not. If they see, actually the student has an account with ICICI, but PhonePe is an interface. That's it. It's a GUI part. That's it. Then immediately that PhonePe people have to do their transaction with ICICI bank or not. They have to do transaction with what bank they know. ICICI student has account with what their ICICI application only. Now this is like what their ICICI.com. ICICI.com. Observe carefully. Now this is like what I'm telling to you, ICICI.com. Now ICICI people will perform the required transaction. ICICI people are performing the required transaction. Okay, fine. When they perform the required transaction in the sense, just we can understand, they will do some operations with the database only. Any operation which is with the enterprise applications are nothing but what their database operations only max. So now here, this is database now, where amounts might be some account table is available. The respective user account is available where the debit operation is going to be performed here. Not only debit operation, that how much amount is debited there, that amount value must be added to Durgasoft account. Durgasoft has its own account there, right, with the same ICICI. For example, ICICI or maybe if it is with the HDFC, again the truth will be goes to what there, that HDFC application. But I will not take up to that level here. Understand it clearly. Okay, here ICICI.com has performed a transaction. When it has performed a transaction here, immediately some acknowledgement will come, some response will come there. That response would be given back to whom? Come on, that response must be given back to whom? To the phonepe.com. Now phonepe.com people, what they have to do? They have to send that PhonePe information to like what there? Durgasoft.com. Now here we are able to see that the transaction is completed. Transaction we have done successfully. After that, Durgasoft.com is able to prepare some response. That response would be given back to the respective user. So the same user mission, there we are able to get some response here. What is that response here? We are able to get that response would be like what there? Like a registration successful. Registration successful. Like this. Here we are able to get the course registration successful. That's enough. Right, so now it is completed. Course registration successful. That's it. So this is a total response here we are getting. Now here we can understand now. This is again request. Now again this is like what the request. Now this is like what the response. And this is like what their response. And this is also like what their response. Now here we are getting it. Clear? Now here we are getting like what their response. Sir, all of you are getting it or not? All of you understand it clearly. Durgasoft.com was prepared by using what? Java. PhonePe application is also be preparing by using what? Java. ICICI application is also be preparing by using like what there? Java. Example, I'm taking that. Later on I'll change it. Don't worry for it. Okay, fine. Now tell me. If I take registration form and Durgasoft.com, this is acting as client or not? Now this registration form is available in browser only. That browser is client and this is what their server. Am I right or not? So now this is a browser and this is server. So up to this part, up to this part is what actually this part is like what they're actually, this is exactly called as web application. Up to which part is web application? Now tell me guys. Our registration form, then what next one here? Durgasoft.com registration form. That means browser is acting as a client and Durgasoft.com is acting as server side application. Now this entire environment is nothing but what their web application. Now tell me, Durgasoft.com is a Java application or not? PhonePe.com is also a Java application or not? ICSA.com is also a Java application or not? Okay, now understand it clearly. Now everybody understand this clearly. Durgasoft.com must be communicated with what their PhonePe.com. So this is Java application, this is Java application. Now this is client, this is server side application. Now Durgasoft.com is a client for what their PhonePe. Yes, sir, am I right or not? Durgasoft.com is a client for what their PhonePe now. Now here, this application, this environment, this integration part, Durgasoft.com and PhonePe.com, this integration part, this is called as like what their distributed application. This is exactly the meaning of what the distributed application. Next level. What is the next one? Can now tell me PhonePe.com and ICSA.com. Again, there also integration part is available. PhonePe and as well as like what their ICS application. Now this is again like what their this is about like what their distributed applications. Sir, all of you get my point or not? This is like what I'm telling there, distributed applications. Clear or not? Okay, fine. Distributed applications here, what we are getting clear. Now, now observe carefully, this entirely is an enterprise application. Inside this enterprise application, what layers are available? Web applications available, distributed applications both are available or not? Both the web applications and distributed applications both are exist or not? No response, guys. So this entirely is called as what there? An enterprise application. Clear? All of you are getting clarity? Fine. Listen, one more small point here I'm telling you. Try to observe carefully. Durgasoft.com has prepared application on the base of what technology? Java. PhonePe.com was designed on the top of what technology? Java. ICSA.com has designed on the top of what technology? Java. Well and good. All the technologies are in Java only, so no problem. It's very simple to communicate from one application to another application. Why? Because all they are what there? Java only. Very, very clear. But observe carefully. For PhonePe, how many clients are available? Durgasoft.com is one of the clients. Like this, so many clients are available or not? Come on, guys. Like this, so many clients are available or not? Answer my point clearly. What I'm telling you now. Okay, fine. Durgasoft.com has prepared on the base of the Java. That's okay. But is there any guarantee that PhonePe people are preparing their application on the base of only Java? Do you give any guarantee for it? That PhonePe may be available in some other technology. It may not be on Java. For example, that PhonePe may be available. That PhonePe may be existed in something else like what there, some other technology, .NET, for example. Or maybe we can understand it. It may be like what there, Python. Who knows about it? Okay, this is one point. Now here, ICS application. Do you have any guarantee that ICS application is also prepared on the base of the Java? Do you have any guarantee for it? No. It may be like what there, .NET, for example. It may be like what their .NET. No. Is that correct or not? Now understand the situation. No. Durgasoft.com is Java. PhonePe.com is on what their Python. Durgasoft.com has to communicate with what their Python. That means Java application must be communicated with what their Python. If Java application is communicating with Java in the sense, there is a meaning for it. There is a senseful. But here, Java application is communicating with Python in the sense, what is the meaning of it? No, no sense. Am I right or not? Okay, we are not thinking about it. If both the applications are same Java, it's very simple to communicate each. But if both the applications are different technologies, how can we communicate that Java with Python or Python with .NET? No? There's a problem or not? But communication is required or not? There's a problem. At the same time, communication is required or not? Exactly. In this particular situation, to provide communication between Java application to Python and what next one here? Python application to Java, Python application to .NET, and a .NET application to Java. To provide this type of communications, there we are going to use a separate technology standard, a separate service, a separate thing. That separate thing is called as like what their web services. The separate thing we are going to use like what their web services to establish communication between like what their to provide communications between the local machine and remote machine kernel in the distributed environment. When the technologies, when the applications are in a different standards, no, and the applications are available in the different technology standards, no, then to provide communication between these two different technology applications, there we have to use what their web services. The topic here we have to use. Web services are going on the base of the service provider and service consumer. Web services are designed on the top of what concept there? Service provider and service consumer. Okay, now I'm asking one question to you. Now try to understand it clearly. Durgasoft.com required PhonePe services or PhonePe.com required Durgasoft services? Come on. Durgasoft.com required what services? No? PhonePe no. Now tell me, who is service provider here? PhonePe is a service provider. Who is a service consumer? Durgasoft.com is a service consumer. Got it or not? Okay. PhonePe is a service provider, means that it is a remote mission. In that remote mission, PhonePe transaction is what their remote service. That should be accessed by what their Durgasoft. Okay, now this one. PhonePe.com required ICICI services or ICICI.com required PhonePe services? Come on, PhonePe.com required ICICI services or ICICI.com required PhonePe services? Think and give the answer. At least see the diagram and think about the point now. See, moreover, who is a service provider, who is a consumer, that depends on our direction what we have taken. The example what I have taken, on the basis of that only here we are able to define it. Now tell me here, PhonePe required ICICI services or not? Think about it. Okay, for example, all of you are using PhonePe now, right? Whenever we provided some scanner or something else, we have done it. When we scan it now, when we scan it, we enter some amount there. Then what will happen internally? When you click on submit button there, when we click on that pay button now, then what is happening now? Your PhonePe is accessing which services now? Bank services now, ICICI bank services. Am I right or not? Now tell me, who is using whose services now? PhonePe is using ICICI service. That means PhonePe required ICICI services or not? Now tell me here, who is service provider, who is service consumer? ICICI service provider. PhonePe is what there? Service consumer. Remember that the direction, that points here we have to understand. Then only we are able to get much clarity. So finally the point is like what there? Durgasoft.com is a service consumer. PhonePe is a service provider. PhonePe is a service consumer. ICICI.com is what their service provider. Depending on the context, that provider and consumer both are going to be changed. Depending on the situation, depending on the concept. But every organization, they are providing their own services with some URLs, with some endpoints. That services are going to be provided there in outside. But service consumers are going to take that URL, they are going to consume the required services now. So this entire terminology, this entire architecture is nothing but what their web services architecture. This is a location where web services are coming into the picture. Again, I'm telling you, when the service provider and service consumer both are in the same technology standard, it's very clear, no need to go for web services. When the service provider, service consumer both are in two different technology standards, no, then definitely what is required now? Web services is required. Yes, all of you are getting clarity on my points now? Right, so now this is exactly the meaning of like what there web service and distributed. This entire thing, this overall application, this entire content is nothing but what there distributed application. In other words, might be enterprise application. All right, sir. Now observe carefully. Where is web application and where is distributed application? Already given some clarity. Web application is what there. This is a client browser. Browser plus Durgasoft.com. This part is what their web part. Durgasoft.com and PhonePe.com distributed. PhonePe.com and ICICI.com distributed applications only. It's a communication between Java application and Python. It's a communication between Python and .NET. Then definitely they are nothing but what their distributed application. If you think in the form of client server architecture, browser is acting as a client for what their Durgasoft.com. So this part is what their web. If you understand this, Durgasoft.com and PhonePe.com both are two Java programs or not? Client and server both are having the Java programs or not? In which applications both are Java programs? Now tell me. Is it in web application or distributed application? Come on, both the client and server are Java applications. Where? In web application or distributed application? In a distributed application. In web application, the client is fixed. That is what their browser. In a distributed application, both the client and server are what their Java programs on it. Not only Java, some technology applications. No, they are not browser. They are not fixed. No. Next one is between PhonePe.com and ICICI.com. Both the machines are having Java applications. That means both are having some applications or not. But it is not a browser. Both are having what there some applications cannot. So this is exactly the meaning of like what is web application and what is distributed application here we understood clearly. That's it. Now here try to recognize this diagram here. So again this total diagram here I'm providing there, but final point is what there. Tell me guys, what is the final conclusion here I'm giving there? No, that final point here I given there. To prepare an enterprise application, we have to provide web development along with the distributed application. That means enterprise application is equal to web layer with a distributed application, web plus distributed applications. Clear? All of you are getting clarity on these points or not? Okay, fine. Leave this one. Right, sir. Now this type of points are okay, fine. That we understood clearly. Next one is all of you observe carefully. And one more point I'm telling to you, in a servlets, introduction classes are very, very important. I'm going to give much clarity, the meaning of servlets, the meaning of JSPs and all the points I'm able to provide to you. But without failure, you must understand this is a beginning classes now. Then only we are able to understand the total later on concept scale. But at present here, we have to understand the content effectively. All of you okay? Right, sir. Now understand this clearly. The next point now. Now tell me, in client server applications, listen carefully. In a client server applications, especially in web applications, I'm telling that in web applications, or else no issues, that web applications separately is not required to write. In client server applications, there are two types of responses. In web applications or maybe in the client server applications, there are two types of responses. What are the two types of responses now? First one is static response. Second one is what there? Dynamic response. Static response, and second one is what there? Dynamic response. What is the meaning of static response and what is the meaning of dynamic response? Observe carefully. Static response here I'm telling you, now try to understand it clearly. Static response. Example. For example, here for example, 50 members are sitting in front of me, for example. Every person is asking a question to me. Every person is asking different questions to me. But for every question, my answer is very same. Tomorrow, I'm providing it. For example, if you ask a question to him, tomorrow we'll discuss. If you ask a question to him, tomorrow we'll discuss. Next question, tomorrow we'll discuss. My response is static or not? My response is a simple static or not? So any user, any query, but my response is what there? Same response for every user. That response is what there? Static. Similarly, if we send multiple requests to the server side application, that server side application is providing same response for every user, then the response is called as what there? Static response. So, are you getting it or not? For example, 50 members are sitting in front of me. Person 1 asked one question to me, I given some response 1. Person 2 has asked another question to me, then I given that say another response. Third person have asked a question to me, another response I have given. Like this, 50 members have asked a question to me, 50 different responses I have given. Dynamic response. Now the nature is what there? Dynamic response. If we provide the same common response for every request from every user, the response is called as what there? Static response. If we provide different response depending on the user request, if we provide different responses depending on what their user request, then that response is called as what their? Dynamic response. Sir, are you following or not? Okay, fine. Understand one example. For example, if I open my browser, where if I type www.facebook.com, what I'm getting now? Login page of the Facebook you are getting or not? Might be you entered www.facebook.com on your browser. What you are going to get? Same login page. You entered might be www.facebook.com. What we are getting? Same login page. For every request, for every user, www. like facebook.com. For every user, what they are able to get now? Same Facebook login page they are able to get or not? Now providing login page from Facebook application to the users is a static response or dynamic response? Static response. It is the best example for what there? Static response. Gmail.com or Facebook.com, any entry level request, the same page we are able to get it. Okay, fine. For example, listen carefully. For example, www.com, www.facebook.com, I typed it. Parallel, you also typed in our browser www.facebook.com. All of us we typed www.facebook.com in the browser. All of us, everybody in their own browser, they are providing www.facebook.com. All we are getting the same login page or not? Myself, I got the same login page. You are also be getting the same login page. Okay, fine. In my login page, I provided my own credentials, my own username and password. In your login page, you provided your own username and password. All 50 members, they provided their own usernames and passwords. But when we all clicked on submit buttons, login buttons, what will happen there? What responses we are able to get? Myself, I'm able to get what my response? No, my profile page I'm able to get. You are getting your own profile page. You are getting your own profile page. So, all of you are getting my point or not? Now tell me, for my request, I am getting different response or not? With my photo, my profile page you are getting. With your photo, your profile page we are getting. With your photo, your profile page we are getting. Means that what type of response it is? No. Dynamic response or not? Yeah, that's the best example for what their dynamic response can. Understand my point clearly? What is static response and what is dynamic response now? All right, sir. Now, simple point I'm telling there. Static response is a response generated by the server side application as a common response for every request, of the same resource. Static response is a response generated by the server side application as a common response for every request, for every user request of the same resource. That means server side resource is same. If you submit request to the same server side resource, same common response is generated. That is called as what there? Static response. Understand my point now? One more point I'm telling you, observe carefully. In client server applications, server missions or servers are able to generate static response without executing any resource at server mission. Without executing any resource at server mission, or without performing any action at a server mission. Got or not? Now example here I'm telling to you, static response example, simple example here I'm telling to you, understand it clearly. Generating login page for every user when they access www.facebook.com is a static response. Is the best example that we can understand clearly. Generating a login page for every user when they access www.facebook.com is a static response. That's okay, fine. But what is this dynamic response? But still I need to show the diagrammatic representations. Don't worry. I will provide the diagrammatic representation also for it, but there also we are able to understand the content. All right, what is this dynamic response actually? Now tell me. Static response is a response generated by the server side application as a common response for every user request of the same resource. Now the point is what the dynamic response. Tell me, sir, what is the definition for it? No, dynamic response is the response generated by the server side application as, now tell me, generated by the server side application as an individual, as a common, what we understood there previously as a common response, as an individual different response for every user request of the same resource, but request must be submitted to the same resource. In a server side, so many resources are available. Everybody has to submit request to the same resource, but that same resource has to provide response in a different forms, not common to every user. Different responses to each and every user. That response is called as what there? Dynamic response. Right, sir. Dynamic response is the response generated by the server side application as an individual different response for each and every user request of the same resource. But how it is going to be generated server side application? No. How dynamic response are going to be generated here? No. Understand my point here? In client server applications, in a client server applications, servers are able to generate dynamic response by executing a particular server side resource, understand my point here? By executing a particular server side resource, or by performing an action at a server side application, or by performing an action at what there server side application. That's it. Now this is the meaning of like what there dynamic response get, what we are getting clearly. Sir, all of you are getting my point or not? But I need to give the diagrammatic representation also, try to understand it clearly. What is that example here I am telling there? In a Facebook login page, if we enter username and password, and if we submit request, then Facebook application is able to generate profile page as a response. It is dynamic response. In Facebook login page, if we enter username and password, and if we submit request to the Facebook application, then the Facebook application is able to generate profile, that means generate user respective profile page as a response. So it is what their dynamic response. User respective profile page as a response. It is what their dynamic response. So all of you are getting it or not? What is the static response and what is dynamic response? Okay, fine. All of you observe carefully. One more point I am telling you. To generate a dynamic response from server mission, we have to execute some resources at server side program or not? We need to perform some action at server mission, means that we have to execute some program at server mission or not? The program what we are going to execute at server mission to generate response, dynamic response, that program is called as what their web application. That program is called as what their web application. To prepare these web applications, there we are going to use web technologies like servlets, JSpace, CGI, different technologies, CGI, servlets, JSpace. Then immediately we are getting a question. What about our question there? To prepare dynamic response in our web applications, already we have CGI. What is the requirement to go for servlets? To prepare web applications, already we have servlets. Then what is the requirement to go for JS space? These many points here we are going to understand. Once if we complete all these technology differences, no, after understanding where we are able to use these technologies, then we are going to understand like what their client server architecture. What is a client? How we are going to submit requests from client to the server? What is URL? What is URN? What is URI? What is protocol? How many types of protocols are available? What are the request methods? HTTP methods? What is the meaning of status code? After that, what is server? What is server side application? How request is received at server side? How request is processed at server side? How response will be generated to the respective client? All the points we are going to understand. Once we've completed all the points, no, then we are going to start steps to prepare first web application development. There we are going to start how to install server software, how to prepare web application inside the server, how to access that web application through the browser. After understanding that, then after that we are going to see how to use IDEs to prepare web applications. Understand my point? There's servlet development we are going to understand clearly. How many ways we are able to prepare servlets, what are the various approaches we are going to use to prepare servlets, everything we are going to understand. In a sequence, we are going to see all the content there clearly. Okay, right, sir. That's okay. Fine. The remaining part I will discuss with you tomorrow. Tomorrow we are going to see like what their extension, static response and dynamic response extension points I'm going to discuss with you clearly. Thank you. Thanks a lot. We'll meet on tomorrow. Yeah, struts and DJBs are totally outdated. Nobody is using nowadays now. Okay. No, no, not theoretical. Theoretical is up to introduction content only, but applications development will come there. Lengthy applications we are going to prepare. No, no, then EJBs are not at all required. Just in the introduction classes, demo point of view only, we are discussing about this content now. Understand it clearly. Introduction purpose only, we are discussing about like what they this EJBs and all these things. No, otherwise not at all required. Even struts, EJBs, JSF, all these are totally outdated, not at all required. Just example point of view, I'm discussing about all the points now. Okay, clear? Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks a lot. And Sivanagi, then you're not getting video support. You're not getting videos there, Sivanagi. Yeah, then just try to send your transactions receipt to this WhatsApp to this number there. Then directly, not now in the daytime in the business hours. Try to call to this number. Try to talk with him. Then there Shiva will be there. He will provide. He will provide the taxes and everything to you. Yeah. Yeah, guys. Then tomorrow. Then today's heavy rain is there at Hyderabad. No, that's why in the middle might be then I decided to conduct the classes in online for some people there. But tomorrow, then both offline as well as online, both the classes are going on. Try to check it. Try to check it and try to attend for the classes. Unexpectedly, in the exactly before the class time, if any running, if it is not possible to attend the classes there for the students, so then I'm able to provide that online class support. Otherwise, regularly it is not okay. Okay, it's not like on daily basis. No, just only occasionally. If the situation is not good, then only we are able to provide this kind of support. Right, sir. Yeah, thank you guys. Thanks a lot. We'll meet on tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll see the remaining content. Thank you. Thanks a lot. At least I give an online classes support. Feel happy for it. Otherwise, blindly I have to cancel the classes today because of this rain. Understand it now? I think some people are sending to me core Java classes 30 minutes and 45 minutes now. At least you have to feel happy today. The class was happened. Yes, Pranav, are you remembering what I'm telling to you now? At least you are attending the session through at least online classes now. Instead of saying the points there. Otherwise, what is the status there? Is it possible for you to come to the classroom? Will you come to the class now? In today's situation, as per the today's situation now. At least before giving the statement, at least we have to think one or two times now. Right. Thank you. Thanks a lot, guys. So, Vishav Joshi, then for what courses you joined here? What courses you joined here? That means which course I'm asking then. Okay. Roughly it will take minimum 4 to 5 months of time. Yeah, 4 to 5 months of time it will take. Up to web services we have to cover. Spring Boot, microservice, web services. Yeah, it will take. Sure. Not like that. Yeah. Before that we'll finish. Don't worry. Thank you. Thank you. All right, guys. Then thank you. Thanks a lot. We'll meet on tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll see the remaining content. Yeah, Mohammed. Yeah, Matt and Mohammed. Yeah, at least tomorrow come to the offline class. There we will see the content. Okay. Right. Thank you, guys. We'll meet on tomorrow.